So if you tell me I retire this with this will come back, but then how does that even work? I don't get it. Do you guys know that on the official Bushiroad English site, there is no rules interactions for English released trading cards for the past couple years now? I wonder why is that? Sorry. Howdy neighbors, how's it going? How's it hanging? J.J. here. Today we're going to talk about just that, actually. It's going to be a bit of a rant video, trying to figure out what one of the reasons or some of the reasons could be, and some of the things that could be introduced or implemented, or if you're also having some small issues trying to understand how your cards work, because one of the biggest weaknesses as us TCG players is the power of reading. So with a bunch of Bushiroad and Springfest tournaments coming up soon, you also want to try to get a better understanding of how some of your cards work or any of the product you've recently bought as a TCG player. And oftentimes if you come from different card games like Yu-Gi-Oh, the trading card game, or like Magic the Gathering, they have their own database of where you can find those rules and information. Cardfight Vangaurd has that as well, but you need to go to the official Cardfight Vangaurd website to take a look at their database to find out the information. I'll be putting that link in the description below so you guys can see it for yourself. But you'll need to use a Google Translator or DeepL, which is another translation service. They also have a paid service, but you can also use the free version of it, which gives you a rudimentary translation of how those sentences and words and Q&As that you often get at a new set, or the beginning of a new set, or the middle of a new set, based on mails and reports and tournament information sent in by players and viewers of the VMC live streams that are oftentimes held on weekends, middle of the week, or usually seasonal tournaments that are held all over Japan and posted there live. Usually posted by judges, R&D, all that type of stuff. But it's like, why don't they do that for English at all? So I've been trying to get in contact with some of the Bushiroad officials. Hopefully I can give you guys a follow-up update to this video whenever this gets uploaded. Depends. God knows I try to do consistent uploads, but J.J don't fly. So here's the awkward thing about the comprehensive rules, though, is that they do explain some of how the interactions work, with how your costs work, with how your on-play effects would sometimes work, depends on if you come from Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic, how your chain links and how the spell resolves would often interact with each other. For example, these two awesome cards here, Tearful Malice and Roaming Prison Dragon from the D format, which is from set 4. We're already on set 4, guys. And combination Tearful Malice, a little bit of an older card, I think it's from set 1, which requires you to retire 2 of your rear guards to be able to put this into soul to draw a card. But you need to read first at the cost, which is retire 2. In Tearful Malice, his auto ability triggers whenever you drew a order for the turn. His additional effects will resolve when you get the Alchemagic off, but a trigger activation is by activation of the order. We'll get a little bit into more how that interacts in a second. So here we have one of the most optimal order turns that we can ever conceive for ourselves. Our board is going pretty good. We have a little bit of damage stocked up. We hurt ourselves a little bit here. Ow, I took a bit of damage because we'll need it a little bit for this exercise. So we have in our hands a Tearful Malice in our hand and a Grief, Despair, Rejection in our drop zone currently. So with how Tearful Malice works, you need to sacrifice 2 of your rear guards, and those need to be sent to the drop zone. That is the activation requirement of the card. So the cards are currently in the drop zone at the moment of activation, since this is part of cost. So your Roman Prison Dragons go into your drop zone. Alright, then as part of your additional part of your cost, you need to play 1 Counterblast for these two. And this will be the second half, or the backside of your current order that you're currently using. Now we'll resolve the effects of both of them. The first one is the put into soul and draw and countercharge. So we'll draw a blank card here. Then we will resolve the grief, despair, rejection by choosing 3 of our rear guards. Doesn't necessarily matter for this exercise. So it'll be this, this, and this, I guess. Sure. And now we have a decent amount of cards here that want to trigger and want to resolve. We have here both of the Roman Prison Dragons, the Shadow Cloak that we set here from the turn before. So we will resolve then, I guess, the Shadow Cloak to bounce the perfect guards. And we also get these back. These Roman Prison Beauties back to our board. So you're asking like, hey, well, I guess that's a given now, isn't it? But a lot of these rules and interactions oftentimes are stated in the rule books, but they don't really show them in practice with game state information. Because there's not a lot of game states where something like this comes up that often. It comes up, but not a lot of people would understand that paying for costs while trying to resolve auto abilities that trigger as part of effects or activation of effects is that they can be in your drop zone before the activation requirement is needed. Or part of the activation requirement. Well, most of you are probably saying like, duh, obviously. Like most of these things are given information by now. But here's the awkward thing about that, right? Oftentimes the comprehensive rules are updated with some of these information, just like how interaction works with domination, because a lot of the game states didn't tell you or dictate to you which one is the user and who's the master of said card, because then it creates a lot of different dynamics how you play those interactions. Domination and master, it's not some weird BDSM thing, trust me. No, not really. It's a this keyword that was introduced the latest stages of the G era. It's called dominate. You were able to take over an opponent's unit and make them hit them. Moving on. KumaTank and I, we host a weekly podcast called The Weekly Chomp, where we discuss a whole lot of information and a lot of awesome content, talking about Cardfight Vangaurd, where we see the direction of the card game, how we see the future as us as a player base, a lot of the social politics we discussed there a little bit, kind of fun. It's very fun talking to him about it. Hopefully you guys take a listen. Also in the description below, also his socials will be in the description below as well. Granted, some of these are currently in the comprehensive rules. My only gripe about it is I would like us to have a TCG database so that we can also discuss and also have conversations about cool rules, interactions, as Bushi wrote about it, have a more clear, transparent line, and any of our questions being asked, put it on the site. Any good questions that were asked, or even the more simplistic ones, if need be, you know? Clarity. We would just like to have some clarity on the card game that is getting more complex by the day, and I'm here for it. It's 10 years of Cardfight Vangaurd. Give us our English database, darn it. So, thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in and stopping on by. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. If you catch me live, you can watch me on twitch.tv/J.J Mr. Rogers. You can catch KumaTank as well on his social media platforms and all that good stuff. Take care. If there's anything I missed, let me know.
Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. In other